It's hard to say what makes a perfect movie appearance, but some roles are indisputably impressive. From iconic characters to underappreciated gems, there's no denying that these performances are the best of the best. There's very little to say about Pulp Fiction that hasn't already been said. Quentin Tarantino's non-chronological classic is arguably the most quotable movie of a generation, with a hefty percentage of those quotes spoken with righteous vigor by Samuel L. Jackson's Jules Winfield. Jackson, a frequent collaborator of Tarantino's, plays a religious hitman with poise and confidence. He's a joy to watch, whether he's waxing poetic or bantering with John Travolta's Vincent Vega.
If my answers frighten you, Vincent, then you should cease asking scary questions.
Calm, controlled, and calculated, Jules always has the upper hand. His shakedown of Brett and his buddies is perhaps his most popular moment, but his interaction with two petty criminals at an LA diner is unparalleled. In a film filled with memorable characters and performances, Jackson stands out as a definitive performance. There are numerous Philip Seymour Hoffman performances worthy of being labeled as all-time greats. His outings in The Master, Synecdoche, New York, Punch Drunk Love, Capote, and plenty of others are all contenders for the top of the heap. That said, his work in the somewhat underappreciated Before the Devil Knows You're Dead has an intangible X-factor that helps it rise ever so slightly above the rest. Before the Devil Knows You're Dead follows a pair of brothers played by Hoffman and Ethan Hawke as they deal with the fallout of their failed attempt to rob their parents' jewelry store. As they dig themselves into increasingly painful predicaments, Hoffman delivers the most manic, desperate, and intense performance of his infinitely impressive filmography.
I didn't touch you think? Did you touch anything? I don't like this, Andy. I don't like. Shut up.
Who knows how many more of the best performances of all time Hoffman would have given if not for his untimely passing at the age of 46. Robert De Niro is one of the finest actors of his generation, or any other for that matter. His performances in recent years are still Oscar-worthy, but he was in his absolute prime in the 70s and early 80s when he made movies like The Godfather Part 2, The Deer Hunter, Raging Bull, The King of Comedy, and of course, Taxi Driver.
You talking to me? Well, then who the hell else are you talking? You talking to me?
As the dangerous driver turned deranged vigilante Travis Bickle, De Niro captivated audiences with a magnetic performance that spoke perfectly to the times, while also becoming timeless. This complex character demanded an intense physical transformation from De Niro, as well as nuanced psychological work from the actor that rewards repeat viewings. De Niro earned his first lead actor Oscar nomination for the role, securing Travis Bickle a place in the pantheon of unforgettable movie characters. The Hunt is a Danish film from 2012 that deals with some heavy topics, but only a lead actor as talented as Mads Mikkelsen could have managed to pull it off with such grace. Mikkelsen plays Lucas, a kind-hearted kindergarten teacher who's on the brink of losing everything after a student tells a lie about him that spirals out of control. The Hunt was nominated for the Palme d'Or at Cannes, with Mikkelsen taking home the Best Actor accolade from the prestigious film festival. While American audiences will be more familiar with Mikkelsen for his frequent villain roles in English-language projects like Casino Royale, Doctor Strange, and the Hannibal TV show, The Hunt shows him in a much more vulnerable state. Few film performances this century are more heartbreaking than this one. As the first international film to ever win Best Picture at the Oscars, Parasite helped South Korean director Bong Joon-ho and his talented cast gain popularity in America. While actor Song Kang-ho had collaborated with the acclaimed director multiple times before, his role as the patriarch of the impoverished Kim family elevated him to a new level of fame. Along with his wife and children, Kim Katek connives his way into the graces and payroll of the well-off Park family. As something of a chameleon actor, Song Kang-ho fully disappears into each and every role he plays, so playing someone who's trying to blend in himself has an interesting element to his already layered performance. The entire ensemble of Parasite shines, but Song Kang-ho is a standout among standouts. As one of the biggest stars of the new Hollywood movement, few actors can ever hope to be as influential as Jack Nicholson. After getting his start in the old Hollywood studio system in the days of the Hays Code, Nicholson emerged as a force to be reckoned with as he helped usher in a time of momentous cultural and cinematic change. His participation in this movement began with his supporting role in 1969's Easy Rider, but it was his lead role in the following year's 5 Easy Pieces that turned him into a full-fledged star.
Don't sit there pointing at her.
I beg your pardon?
I said don't point at her, you creep.
Nicholson's performance as a blue-collar working man who fled a privileged upbringing made him a counter-culture icon. With a callous exterior and tragically relatable interior, Nicholson brought a complex character to life in a way that set the tone for American cinema of the 1970s. He earned his first lead actor Oscar nomination for the role. Brad Dourif is an underrated actor who never received the level of respect and acclaim that he was due. These days, he's best known as the voice of Chucky, the killer doll from the Child's Play series. Dourif's closest brush with mainstream stardom actually arrived with his very first role. In the Best Picture-winning One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Dourif played Billy Bibbit, a young mental hospital patient with a stutter and a whole lot of demons. With bright-eyed innocence on the surface but insurmountable turmoil below, Dourif's performance is the heart of a film packed with phenomenal performances. While Jack Nicholson and Louise Fletcher both won Academy Awards for their performances, Dourif still managed to score his only Oscar nomination to date for Best Supporting Actor. He's given many other excellent performances over the years in projects like Deadwood, The Exorcist 3, and Mississippi Burning, but none have stacked up to the accolades of his first outing. Set during the Japanese occupation of Korea, 2016's The Handmaiden is a critically beloved drama from Park Chan-wook of Oldboy fame. The whole cast turns in excellent performances, but Kim Tae-ri and Kim Min-hee stand above as a romantic coupling at the core of the story. Both keep audiences guessing throughout the film's twisty narrative, but if we had to pick one, it would be Kim Min-hee as Lady Hideko, pulling off the difficult feat of appearing both fragile and powerful. Kim Min-hee's tightrope walk of a performance has to be seen to be believed. Her efforts embodying the abused heiress stunned judges at the Blue Dragon Awards, the Director's Cut Awards, and the Cine 21 Awards, three of South Korea's biggest film awards programs. With only 5 features in his filmography, every single one of which was nominated for an Oscar, John Cazale has the greatest batting average of any actor in history. 2 of the masterpieces he appeared in were Francis Ford Coppola's first pair of Godfather films, in which Cazale played the pivotal but often overlooked role of Fredo Corleone. Just as Fredo was the black sheep of the family and the weak link in the criminal organization, the role was similarly underappreciated in the first of the 2 movies. That all changed with the sequel, as Coppola and Mario Puzo greatly expanded the character's role in the story for The Godfather Part 2. In a series filled with too many iconic moments and incredible performances to count, Fredo's outburst toward Michael is a true highlight.
I'm your older brother, Mike, and I was stepped over.
That's the way Pop wanted
It
it.
ain't the way I wanted it.
With his death from lung cancer at the age of 42, Cazale never had the chance to ascend to the heights of stardom enjoyed by his Godfather co-stars, but his legacy lives on through his 5 flawless performances. Meryl Streep is one of the most highly lauded actors to ever live. Although the record for most Oscar wins remains with Katharine Hepburn, Streep holds the record for the most Academy Award nominations accrued by any individual, with 21. With so many exceptional roles to her name, picking a top Streep performance is an extremely tough choice. It only makes sense that her greatest performance of all is a woman who must make an impossible decision herself. Sophie's Choice is a 1982 drama that uses a non-chronological structure to jump back and forth between the title character's troubled romance in New York City and her devastating experiences in a concentration camp, in which she can only save one of her 2 children. Streep earned her second Oscar win for her heartbreaking performance and cemented herself as one of the all-time greatest thespians just 5 years into her feature filmmaking career. Paul Newman spent half a century as a Hollywood star, turning in dozens of unforgettable performances over the years. That said, the role that just might be the most heartfelt and meaningful of his career is as the leading man in Cool Hand Luke. Cool Hand Luke hit theaters in 1967, in the same year that game-changing hits like The Graduate and Bonnie and Clyde kickstarted what would become the new Hollywood movement. Cool Hand Luke still has a foot in both worlds and feels like one last hurrah of everything that worked so well about old-school Hollywood while still embodying the rebellious spirit of the changing times. Newman taps into the effortless charm that was typical of his screen roles, digging into a deeper emotional truth within a familiar archetype, and earning Golden Globe and Oscar nominations in the process.
What we got here is a failure to communicate.
Chiwetel Ejiofor is a standout character actor with supporting roles in everything from Doctor Strange to Children of Men, but rarely does he get the opportunity to take the lead on a project. The biggest exception is Steve McQueen's historical drama 12 Years a Slave, in which Ejiofor took top billing as a real-life figure Solomon Northup. Taking on the role of a free man kidnapped and sold into slavery in the antebellum South, Ejiofor rose to the challenges of the part and delivered a deeply emotional and devastating performance. This tragic true story finally provided Ejiofor with a monumental character arc and allowed him to show off the full extent of his range. 12 Years a Slave took home 3 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and earned Ejiofor his first and so far only Oscar nomination. While Steve McQueen is the name of the 12 Years a Slave director, a different Steve McQueen had a reputation as Hollywood's king of cool in the 1960s and 70s. Nowhere was this clearer than with his turn as Captain Virgil Hiltz, also known as the Cooler King in The Great Escape. Released in 1963 by director John Sturges, The Great Escape tells a mostly true story of a massive escape attempt by captive soldiers from a prisoner of war camp in Nazi-occupied Poland during World War II. As one of 3 Americans held captive, Hiltz must work with his allies both from home and from across the pond in order to secure their freedom.
I haven't seen Berlin yet, from the ground or from the air, and I plan on doing both before the war is over.
The Great Escape utilizes an ensemble cast of stars like James Garner, Charles Bronson, Donald Pleasance, Richard Attenborough, and James Coburn, but McQueen outshines all of them with his effortless charm and incomparable charisma. Years before Olivia Colman became a beloved international sensation and Oscars darling, she first got her start in television and movies in the United Kingdom. Colman served as a cast member on several comedy shows, but her more dramatic efforts were no less captivating. One of her earlier successes was in the extremely bleak drama Tyrannosaur in 2011. Directed by fellow British actor Paddy Considine, Tyrannosaur is about the cycles of destruction that ruin the lives of those who can't break free from them. Colman plays the proprietor of a second-hand shop who tries to see the good in people while trapped in a marriage with an abusive husband. With a sympathetic yet complex character, Colman turns in a tour de force performance that still stands out even as she racks up Oscar noms. For her 2016 film Fences, Viola Davis was at the top of her game and even managed the impressive feat of outshining Denzel Washington. Though both stars did phenomenal work, Davis walked away as the film's sole Oscar winner for her performance in the supporting actress category. Fences is a heavy drama set in the 1950s and is mostly contained to the familial conflicts unfolding in a simple backyard. With a grounded and character-driven plot, it's packed with wall-to-wall dialogue that allows the performances to take priority. The bulk of the film's dialogue is between Washington and those in his orbit, while Davis's character has a tendency to fade into the background, but that just makes her big showstopper moments even more effective. Davis and Washington had previously performed their roles in Fences on Broadway before bringing the story to the big screen. Davis won a Tony Award for the play, but she always felt like there was a part of the role she didn't quite crack on the stage. She viewed the film as a second chance to get it right, refining her already acclaimed performance to a point of perfection.
I took all my feelings, my wants and needs and dreams, and I buried them inside you.
In the first full decade of his career, the 1970s, Al Pacino had already secured his legacy as one of the top dogs of his generation. The 2 Godfather films alone turned him into one of the world's biggest movie stars, but that was far from being all he had on his plate throughout the decade. While Pacino was unforgettable as Michael Corleone, the best performance of his career may have actually been in his direct follow-up to The Godfather Part 2, 1975's Dog Day Afternoon. Pacino plays Sonny Wardzik, a first-time criminal whose attempted robbery of a Brooklyn bank becomes a media circus, especially once his motive is revealed. His manic demeanor makes for one of the most intense and unconventional heist movies of the era, and critics noticed. Pacino earned an Oscar nomination, and Dog Day Afternoon forever became a highlight of his long and illustrious career. A Separation is an Iranian film from internationally renowned writer and director Asghar Farhadi that took home the Best International Film Oscar in 2011. As one might guess from the title, the movie follows a troubled couple undergoing a separation. While they deal with all the messiness that a disintegrating marriage with a child in the mix entails, they must also navigate the troubles of an elderly parent with Alzheimer's, a caretaker with a terrible secret, and the potential theft of a monetary sum from the family home. Layla Hatami and Sarah Bayat deliver stellar performances, but it is Payman Maadi who stands out the most as a family patriarch, being pulled apart at the seams by everyone else in his life. His character's frantic search for answers and desire to resolve massive interpersonal conflicts without compromising on his own values leads to plenty of juicy, dramatic scenes. Mike Leigh isn't quite a household name in the States, but fans of the English filmmaker appreciate his naturalistic directorial process that places an emphasis on improvisation. Leigh's technique frequently brings career-best performances out of his actors, and Imelda Staunton joined the club with the 2004 drama Vera Drake. Though she wasn't credited as a co-writer, Staunton was intrinsically involved in the creation of her character, an unassuming housewife who secretly performs back-alley abortions in a time when the practice was outlawed in the UK. She worked alongside Leigh to devise the entire story of her life leading up to the start of the film and improvised all of her lines.
They need help. Who else they're going to turn to? They got no one. I help them out.
As a reward for her standout performance, Staunton was nominated for the Best Actress Oscar and won the BAFTA. Together, Paul Newman and Robert Redford became one of the most iconic screen duos of all time when they played the title roles of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. The two reunited with director George Roy Hill for another future classic a few years later with The Sting. But their first coupling could never be outdone. The film is a grand adventure that tells the true story of the bank and train robbing outlaws. Newman excels as Butch Cassidy, the charismatic face of the operation, while Redford impresses with quiet intensity as the Sundance Kid, the lethal half of the legendary duo. Their through-the-roof chemistry elevates an already perfect screenplay from William Goldman. Though he is now known as one of the biggest Hollywood icons to ever live, Redford wasn't yet a big name at the time he landed this star-making role. This career-defining character later lent his name to Redford's Sundance Film Festival, one of the most prestigious festivals in the world.